98. Only when ape and horse are tamed will shells be cast. With merit and work perfected, they see the real. Since Squire Ko was able to return to life, he again prepared banners and canopies, drums and music, and invited relatives and friends, Buddhists and Taoists, to escort the pilgrims on their way. We shall now leave them and tell you instead about the Tang monk and his 3 disciples, who set out on the main road. In truth, the land of Buddha in the West was quite different from other regions. What they saw everywhere were gem-like flowers and jasper-like grasses, aged cypresses, and hoary pines. In the regions they passed through, every family was devoted to good works, and every household would feed the monks. They met people in cultivation beneath the hills, and saw travelers reciting sutras in the woods. Resting at night and journeying at dawn, master and disciples proceeded for some 6 or 7 days when they suddenly caught sight of a row of tall buildings and noble lofts. Truly, they soar skyward 100 feet. Tall and towering in the air. You look down to see the setting sun, and reach out to pluck the shooting stars. Spacious windows engulf the universe. Lofty pillars join with the cloudy screens. Yellow cranes bring letters as autumn trees age. Phoenix sheets come with the cool evening breeze. These are the treasure arches of a spirit palace. The pearly courts and jeweled edifices. The immortal hall where the way is preached. The cosmos where sutras are taught. The flowers bloom in the spring. Pines grow green after the rain. Purple agaric and divine fruits, fresh every year. Phoenixes gambol, potent in every manner. Lifting his whip to point ahead, Tripitaka said, "Wukong, what a lovely place." "Master," said Pilgrim, "you insisted on bowing down, even in a specious region, before false images of Buddha. Today you have arrived at a true region with real images of Buddha, and you still haven't dismounted. What's your excuse?" So taken aback was Tripitaka when he heard these words that he leapt down from the horse. Soon they arrived at the entrance to the buildings. A Taoist lad, standing before the gate, called out, "Are you the scripture seeker from the land of the East?" Hurriedly tidying his clothes, the elder raised his head and looked at his interrogator. He wore a robe of silk, and held a jade duster. He wore a robe of silk, often to feast at treasure lofts and jasper pools. He held a jade yak's tail, to wave and dust in the purple mansions. From his arm hangs a sacred register, and his feet are shod in sandals. He floats a true feathered one. He's winsome, indeed uncanny. Long life attained, he lives in this fine place. Immortal, he can leave the world of dust. The sage monk knows not our Mount Spirit guest, the immortal golden head of former years. The great sage, however, recognized the person. "Master," he cried, "this is the great immortal of the golden head, who resides in the Jade Perfection Taoist Abbey at the foot of the Spirit Mountain." Only then did Tripitaka realize the truth, and he walked forward to make his bow. With laughter, the great immortal said, "So the sage monk has finally arrived this year. I have been deceived by the Bodhisattva Guanyin. When she received the gold decree from Buddha over 10 years ago to find a scripture seeker in the land of the East, she told me that he would be here after 2 or 3 years. I waited year after year for you, but no news came at all. Hardly have I anticipated that I would meet you this year." Pressing his palms together, Tripitaka said, "I'm greatly indebted to the great immortal's kindness. Thank you. Thank you." The 4 pilgrims, leading the horse and toting the luggage, all went inside the temple before each of them greeted the great immortal once more. Tea and a vegetarian meal were ordered. The immortal also asked the lads to heat some scented liquid for the sage monk to bathe, so that he could ascend the land of Buddha. Truly, it's good to bathe when merit and work are done, when nature's tamed and the natural state is won. All toils and labors are now at rest. Law and obedience have renewed their zest. At Mara's end they reach indeed Buddha land. Their woes dispelled, before Srama they stand. Unstained, they are washed of all filth and dust. To a diamond body return they must. After master and disciples had bathed, it became late and they rested in the Jade Perfection Abbey. The next morning, the Tang monk changed his clothing and put on his brocade cassock and his Varokana hat. Holding the priestly staff, he ascended the main hall to take leave of the great immortal. "Yesterday you seemed rather dowdy," said the great immortal, chuckling. "But today everything is fresh and bright. As I look at you now, you are a true of son of Buddha." After a bow, Tripitaka wanted to set out at once. "Wait a moment," said the great immortal. "Allow me to escort you." "There's no need for that," said Pilgrim. "Old Monkey knows the way. What you know happens to be the way in the clouds," said the great immortal. "A means of travel to which the sage monk has not yet been elevated. You must still stick to the main road." "What you say is quite right," replied Pilgrim. "Though Old Monkey has been to this place several times, he has always come and gone on the clouds and he has never stepped on the ground. If we must stick to the main road, we must trouble you to escort us a distance. My master's most eager to bow to Buddha. Let's not dally." Smiling broadly, the great immortal held the Tang monk's hand to lead Sandana up the gate of law. The way that they had to go, you see, did not lead back to the front gate. Instead, they had to go through the central hall of the temple to go out the rear door. Immediately behind the abbey, in fact, was the Spirit Mountain, to which the great immortal pointed and said, "Sage monk, look at the spot halfway up the sky, shrouded by auspicious luminosity of 5 colors, and 1,000 folds of hallowed mists. That's the tall Spirit Vulture Peak, the holy region of the Buddhist patriarch." The moment the Tang monk saw it, he began to bend low. With a chuckle, Pilgrim said, "Master, you haven't reached that place where you should bow down. As the proverb says, even within sight of a mountain you can ride a horse to death. You are still quite far from that principality. Why do you want to bow down now? How many times does your head need to touch the ground if you kowtow all the way to the summit?" "Sage monk," said the great immortal, "you, along with the great sage, heavenly reeds, and curtain raising, have arrived at the blessed land when you can see Mount Spirit. I'm going back." Thereupon Tripitaka bowed to take leave of him. The great sage led the Tang monk and his disciples slowly up the mountain. They had not gone for more than 5 or 6 miles when they came upon a torrent of water, 8 or 9 miles wide. There was no trace of human activity all around. Alarmed by the sight, Tripitaka said, "Wukong, this must be the wrong way. Could the great immortal have made a mistake? Look how wide and swift this river is. Without a boat, how could we get across?" "There's no mistake," said Pilgrim, chuckling. "Look over there. Isn't that a large bridge? You have to walk across that bridge before you can perfect the right fruit." The elder walked up to the bridge and saw beside it a tablet, on which was the inscription, "Cloud Transcending Fairy." The bridge was actually a single log. Truly. Afar off, it's like a jade beam in the sky. Near, a dried stump that o'er the water lies. To bind up oceans it would easier seem. How could one cross a single log or beam? Shrouded by rainbows often 1,000 feet. By 1,000 layers of silk white sheet. Too slippery and small for all to cross it spread. Except those who on colored mists can tread. Quivering all over, Tripitaka said, "Wukong, this bridge is not for human beings to cross. Let's find some other way." "This is the way. This is the way," said Pilgrim, laughing. "If this is the way," said 8 Rules, horrified. "Who dares walk on it? The water's so wide and rough. There's only a single log here, and it's so narrow and slippery. How could I move my legs?" "Stand still, all of you," said Pilgrim. "Let Old Monkey take a walk for you to see. Dear great sage." In big strides he bounded on to the single log bridge. Swaying from side to side, he ran across it in no time at all. On the other side he shouted, "Come across! Come across!" The Tang monk waved his hands, while 8 Rules and Sha monk bit their fingers, all crying, "Hard! Hard! Hard!" Pilgrim dashed back from the other side and pulled at 8 Rules, saying, "Idiot! Follow me! Follow me!" Lying flat on the ground, 8 Rules said, "It's much too slippery. Much too slippery. Let me go, please. Let me mount the wind and fog to get over there." Pushing him down, Pilgrim said, "What sort of a place do you think this is that you are permitted to mount wind and fog? Unless you walk across this bridge, you'll never become a Buddha." "Oh, elder brother," said 8 Rules. "It's okay with me if I don't become a Buddha. But I'm not going on that bridge." Right beside the bridge, the two of them started a tug of war. Only Sha monk's admonitions managed to separate them. Tripitaka happened to turn his head, and he suddenly caught sight of someone punting a boat upstream toward the ferry and crying, "Ahoy! Ahoy!" Highly pleased, the elder said, "Disciples, stop your frivolity. There's a boat coming." The 3 of them leapt up and stood still to stare at the boat. When it drew near, they found that it was a small bottomless one. With his fiery eyes and diamond pupils, Pilgrim at once recognized that the ferryman was in fact the conductor Buddha, also named the Light of Ratnadvaja. Without revealing the Buddha's identity, however, Pilgrim simply said, "Over here. Punt it this way." Immediately the boatman punted it up to the shore. "Ahoy! Ahoy!" he cried. Terrified by what he saw, Tripitaka said, "How could this bottomless boat of yours carry anybody?" The Buddhist patriarch said, "This boat of mine